Hello viewers, welcome to another important management concept, that is decision making and ethics. One of the important roles played by managers in making decisions relating to a number of issues which they may face every day. Some decisions are big and significant and some are small and routine. Decision making takes place at all levels of management. However, the degree of importance may vary with the level. In this episode, the concept of decision making and ethics are divided into 5 subheadings: decision making and the types of decisions, decision making process, ethics in management, principles of ethics, factors that raise ethical standards. Let us now discuss the concept of decision making and its types. Decision making is the selection of a course of action amongst available alternatives. It is a choice between 2 or more alternatives. When managers make decisions, they are choosing the best alternative among the other possible alternatives, which is more feasible with less costs and consequences. It is a key part of managers' activities where they spend a great deal of time in making decisions that must be carried out by others. A plan cannot said to exist unless a decision, a commitment of resources, direction or reputation has been made. Until that point, there are only planning, studies and analysis. Importance of decision making. As we know that decision making is an activity, we can say that decision making permeates through all managerial functions such as planning, organizing, directing and controlling. In planning, decisions are made relating to the objectives and policies, and the managers decide many things such as what, where, who, when and how to perform particular tasks. In organizing, decisions relating to the choice of structure, nature and form of organization, division of work, delegation of authority, fixing of responsibility and so on are made. In directing, decisions are made relating to the orders and instructions to be given, providing dynamic leadership and other issues. In controlling, the decisions relating to the establishment of performance standards, strategic control points, procedure for control, etc. are made. Types of decisions. Decisions can be classified in a number of ways. Number 1, programmed and non-programmed decisions. Programmed decisions are those that are made in accordance with the policy, rule or procedure, and so that they do not have to be handled each time they occur. These decisions are generally repetitive, routine and are easy for the managers to make. For example, floor workers have specifications and rules to follow which tell them whether the output they make is acceptable or not. Non-programmed decisions are those which are unstructured and not well defined situations which are of non-repetitive in nature. If a problem not arisen before, or if there is no cut and dry method for handling it, or if it deserves a custom tailored treatment, it must be handled by a non-programmed decision. Problems such as how to allocate an organization resource, decisions regarding continuation or stoppage of the products which are in loss margin, etc. will usually require non-programmed decisions for which no definite procedure exists. Major and minor decisions. Major decisions are the decisions which have long-term impacts on the organization. Decisions like expansion, diversification, replacement of men by machinery, which are rare and have to be made at high level, are called as major decisions. On the other hand, minor decisions are those which have short term impact, although the amount involved may be substantial. Decisions which recur very often become minor and routine decisions and may be taken at a lower level. The third class of decisions are individual and group decisions. Decisions are taken by an individual where the problem is of a routine nature, where the analysis of variables is simple and there exists definite procedure to deal with the problem. Group decisions are needed where there is a scope of change in the organization. Group decisions generally are strategic decisions. Some advantages of group decisions are: discussing and obtaining immediate consent on the decision made will be easy in a group. There will be a reduction in the amount of coordination needed to bring out the decision into practice. Communication of such decision will be easier. Since many individuals involved in group decisions, more data and information can be brought and shared. Group members help in the implementation of decisions. Following are the disadvantages of group decisions. Groups take longer time than individuals to make decisions. When there is a lack of progress, the members may enter into blame game. The highest status individual can influence or dominate the group. The fourth class is routine and strategic decisions. Routine decisions are those which are supportive to the company's operations. Routine decisions serve the primary purpose of achieving high degree of efficiency in the ongoing company's activities. Decisions regarding providing of air conditioning, parking facilities, cafeteria service, etc. are routine decisions. They require little consideration and money and are taken by managers at lower levels. Strategic decisions involve the decisions like lowering the price of the product or service, changing the product line, etc. Strategic decisions require lengthy deliberation and large funds and are taken by managers at high levels. Decision making process. As we now know that decision making can be a complex or simple task, depending on the situations. However, there are some steps which are common in any type of decision making process. The following are the 8 steps in the decision making process. Number 1 is the identifying the problem. The first step in decision making is to search for the existence of a problem in the environment. A problem exists when there is a deviation from the past experience, or when there is a deviation from the established plan, or when subordinates bring problems to the manager, or when competitors done better than the manager's organization. The second step is deciding priorities among the problems. A manager should not resolve himself to solve all the problems which he come across. He should prioritize the problems according to their importance and urgency. If some problems can be solved by subordinates, he should allow them to solve it. Similarly, if some problems which need the attention of top management, he should bring it to the notice of the top management. The third step in the decision making process is to diagnose the problem. A manager should remember that the symptoms of a problem that he observes may sometimes mislead him. If possible, he may involve other individuals too, where same problem may be looked at differently by them. The fourth step is discovery of alternatives. Once the problem is properly diagnosed, the next step is to search for available alternatives and assess their feasibility. A manager should always keep in his mind that in every course of action there exist alternatives. If there are large number of alternatives, then the management should limit itself to the discovery of those key factors which are critical or strategic to the decision involved. The fifth step is analysis and evaluation of available alternatives. Once the alternatives are discovered, the next stage is to analyze and compare their relative importance. These alternatives are analyzed and evaluated in the light of advantages and disadvantages. While evaluating the available alternatives, managers may utilize many techniques like feasibility analysis, mathematical tools, statistical tools, etc. for their viability and cost effectiveness. The available alternatives are screened in the order of maximum benefits expected and derived from them. Each alternative is evaluated in terms of risk involved in implementing them. Both tangible factors like profits earned, time taken, money invested and rate of returns on the investments, and the intangible factors like public relations, goodwill of the company, loyalty of employees, etc., are to be considered while screening the alternatives. The sixth stage is the selection of alternative to be followed. After a careful analysis and evaluation of available alternatives, an alternative is selected which is most beneficial to the organization. The selected alternative may be the best among the other available alternatives, but the alternative so selected should not be followed blindly. Changes in circumstances and underlying assumptions of decisions in the past should be carefully examined before deciding a problem on the basis of experience, experimentation and research. The seventh step in the decision making process is communication of decision and its acceptance by the organization. Once decision is made, it needs to be implemented. This calls for laying down derivative plans and their communication to all those responsible for initiating actions on them. It will be better if the manager takes into account beliefs, attitudes and prejudices of people in the organization and is also aware of his own contribution to implementation of the decision. It is further required that subordinates are encouraged to participate in decision making process so that they feel committed and morally bound to support the decision. At the same time, management should establish effective control so that major deviations can be observed, analyzed and incorporated in future decisions. The eighth step in the decision making process is verifying the decisions. Sometimes a manager, in spite of his best efforts, may not make correct decision due to certain limiting factors such as non-availability of complete data, limited capacity of managers, etc. So, the decision taken by the manager should be verified whether the decision taken is proven to be beneficial for the organization and is aiming at the achievement of organizational objectives. Decision making under certainty, uncertainty and risk. Virtually all decisions are made in an environment of at least some uncertainty. However, the degree will vary from relative certainty to great uncertainty. There are certain risks involved in making decisions. In a situation involving certainty, people are reasonably sure about the outcome of the decision. The information is available and is considered to be reliable and the cause and effect relationship are known. In a situation involving uncertainty, people have only a meager database. They do not know whether or not the data are reliable and they are very unsure about whether or not situation may change. In situation involving risks, factual information may exist, but it may not be sufficient or may be incomplete. To improve decision making, one may estimate the objective probability of an outcome by using mathematical and statistical models. All intelligent decision makers dealing with uncertainty like to know the degree and nature of risk they are taking in choosing a course of action. Every decision is based on the interaction of a number of important variables, many of which have an element of uncertainty, but perhaps a fairly high degree of profitability. Ethics in management. Ethics deals with what is good and bad as well as with moral duty and obligation. All persons, whether in business, government, university or any other enterprise, are concerned with ethics. Ethics is concerned with the truth and justice and has a variety of aspects such as the expectations of the society, fair competition, public relations, social responsibility of the companies, corporate behavior, etc. It is desirable that the managers in all organizations to be ethical in all aspects of management. Importance or benefits of ethics in business. There are several reasons for which we can say that ethics is very important. Some of the reasons are: number 1, ethics corresponds to basic human needs. It is natural that humans desire to be ethical. Moreover, most individuals want to be part of organization which they can respect and be proud of it publicly. The ethical organizations attract more competitive, committed individuals as employees, suppliers and other stakeholders. Number 2, ethics create public credibility. A company pursued by the public to be ethically and socially responsive will be honored and respected by many. There will be instinctive prejudice in favor of the products since people believe that the company offers value for money. Number 3, ethics help in better decision making. Another important aspect of ethics is that an ethical attitude helps the management make better decisions, that is, decisions which are in the interest of the public, their employees and the company's long-term survival, considering the economic, social and ethical aspects and even when decision making is slower. Number 4, ethics in profit making. Ethics guide the management in making healthy profits, that is, when the value driven companies are sure to be successful in the long run, though in the short run they may incur losses, with their ethical approach may lead to comfortable profits in the long run. To protect society, ethics is important because the government law cannot do everything to protect society. If an issue in the business environment develops faster than the government can regulate and the government is slow to regulate the issue, then ethics of the company will be helpful in regulating the issue by taking necessary measures. For example, if a problem of pollution arises due to invent of certain technology, the management shall take measures to mitigate pollution before being mandated by law. Principles of ethics. Ethics are contented by several principles, and some of the important ethical principles that should be followed are: number 1, not to deceive or cheat customers by selling substandard or defective products or services. Number 2, ensuring sincerity and accuracy in advertising, packaging and labeling. Number 3, not to resort to black marketing, profiteering and unfair practices. Number 4, do not wipe out or distort competition. Number 5, ensure payment of fair wages to the employees. Number 6, avoiding secret kickbacks or payoff to the customers, suppliers, administrators, politicians, etc. Number 7, do not enter into illegal agreements which may harm the quality, customers and image of the organization. Pay taxes without delays. Discharge the obligations of the company promptly. Ethical theories. In organizations, managers compete for information, influence and resources. Then there exists potential for conflicts in selecting goals and means of achieving them. When conflicts arise, a question also arises of what criteria should guide ethical behavior. There are 3 basic moral theories in the field of normative ethics have been developed. The first one is the utilitarian theory. This theory suggests that plans and actions should be evaluated by their consequences. The underlying idea is that the chosen plans and actions should do good for the greater number of people. The second one is the rights theory. This theory holds that all people have basic rights. A number of those rights can be found in the constitution of a nation. The third theory is the justice theory. The justice theory demands that decision makers should be fair and impartial while making decisions keeping in view of the society in which they operate. Institutionalizing code of ethics. A code is a statement of policies, principles or rules that guide behavior. Ethics in management are being increasingly addressed in seminars and conferences. Especially, the top managers have the responsibility to create an organizational environment which fosters ethical decision making. The means of applying and integrating ethical concepts with daily actions is need to be institutionalized. There is a need formulating ethical policies or code of ethics with the help of formal ethical committee and publicizing these policies or code of ethics through teaching ethics in management training programs. Codes of ethics should guide the behavior of persons in all organizations and in everyday life. Some companies may even go one step further and take signature from the employees on the code of ethics and include the ethics criteria in performance appraisal and compensation and rewards. At the same time, the employees should also be encouraged to report the unethical practices. More importantly, managers must become role models to their subordinates through ethical behavior and practice. Factors that raise ethical standards. There are three important factors which raise ethical standards. Number 1, public disclosure and publicity. Number 2, increased concern of a well-informed public. Teaching of ethics and values in higher education institutions. For ethical codes to be effective, provisions must be made for the enforcement of these two factors. Unethical managers should be held responsible for their actions. Though the enforcement of ethical codes may not be easy, and one should not expect the ethical codes to solve all problems. Hence, effective code enforcement requires demonstration of consistent ethical behavior and support from top management. Whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is another way of encouraging ethical corporate behavior. Whistleblowing is defined as informing outsiders about the unethical practices of the company. According to a management dictionary which defined whistleblowing as an employee who refuses to engage himself in wrongful or illegal activities of his employer or fellow employee and reports such wrongful or illegal activities. Wherever there is a sign of misconduct or an illegal activity is happening, the individuals should bring it to the notice of the others or outsiders. So, on the outset, it is beneficial for the organization to implement whistleblowing system. To sum up, decision making is selecting a best course of action among the available alternatives. Decision making extends to all functions of management. There are different types of decisions: programmed and non-programmed, major and minor, individual and group, routine and strategic. Decision making involves identifying the problem, deciding priorities among the problems, diagnosing the problems, discovery of alternatives, analysis and evaluation of available alternatives, selection of alternative to be followed, communication of decision and its acceptance by the organization, and verifying the decisions. Ethics deals with what is good and bad. It bounds the organization to be moral in their activities. Ethics is important in business because it corresponds to basic human needs, creates public credibility, helps in better decision making, profit making, protecting society. There are several principles in ethics, all advocating on the safeguarding of the customers, the employees and other stakeholders and the society at large. There are three theories to ethics: the utilitarian theory, rights theory and justice theory. An organization must institutionalize code of ethics in its organization with formulation of policies, rules and principles. Such code of ethics must be publicized. The managers must be educated by conducting management development programs and other means. Three important factors raise ethical standards: public disclosure and publicity, increased concern of a well-defined public and teaching of ethics and values in higher education institutions. Whistleblowing is informing outsiders about the unethical practices of a company. Thank you.